Welcome all to our first Let's Connect virtual event. Obviously, the circumstances in the world have forced us to go virtual, and although we would love to have seen you in Madrid for our physical conference, it does allow for many people from outside Europe to join. So that's a positive side to it, I think. And I'm sure that we will meet again next year somewhere. But first of all, I want to thank our sponsors for this event. If I can click on the right slide, you can see it. So thanks. These are some of our sponsors that have sponsored the most in the past, and we want to take a moment to thank them for being there with us for almost every conference that we are running. I don't have a lot to say as an introduction. Just want to go over the agenda of the day. I have 1 more minute, so that's perfect. So we're going to start off with state of the business and survey results from HCL Offering Management with Adam Gartenberg and Andrew Manby. I think we are still waiting for Andrew. I'm not sure if Adam is ready to start or not. I think we are all there now. So after that, we will have a Connection 7 deep dive with Renee Schimmer from HCL. And then Anna Neves will join us for maximizing the value from ESN, Enterprise Social Networks, study that she did, and she will run through the report of that. And then we will have a short Q&A and wrap up. Just as a reminder, we have a second part of this tomorrow, same time. This is the agenda for tomorrow, where we will have a little bit more of a technical content first. And we will also have Continental that will speak about some of the customizations and announcements that they have made in their on-prem environment. And we will have my wife, Maria, talking about Activities Plus, which I'm looking forward to, obviously. And I need to say that, obviously, as well. So I guess Adam and Andrew, sorry, take it away.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Let's just go. I'm saying hi here. This is Andrew Manby. I like your t-shirt, by the way, Oneness. It's nice.
Thank you.
Great. Here we go. All right. Well, thank you very much, Oneness and the Let's Connect organization. I'm thrilled to be here. The task that we have today for you with Adam and Renee and myself is to create some clarity, and hopefully you'll take some action as a result of this sessions today and also the sessions tomorrow. Next slide, please, Adam. So this is me. My name's Andrew Manby. Some of you may know me. I joined the IBM collaboration team in 2000. Oh, someone's taking a picture. In 2017, I had been at that point primarily focused on Domino and same time, and I was asked in the last couple of months to take on the ownership of the entire digital solutions portfolio. I'm very excited about that proposition. I think it's a great portfolio. There's a great bunch of people involved in it, fantastic customers, some amazing use cases. And I think this also represents, a big opportunity for us sort of moving forward. So let's go to the next slide. I think Domino needs no introduction, so that's why I didn't include it on this slide. But I've included this slide to reinforce what you may already know, and maybe something you didn't know. So in the portfolio, we have Digital Experience, which was the WebSphere Portal product. And there's an exciting new release coming out for that product. And I hope that you're going to be joining us in Digital Week to November 9th through 12th to learn more about it. We also have a brand new product that we'll be announcing called Vault MX. So I'm giving you a bit of a sneak peek that that's actually coming. That's the complementary product to Domino Vault. It's the low-code app dev product for professional developers. Then we have Domino Vault, which has been doing fantastically well inside our Domino customer base and really providing that citizen developer capability to create forms and workflows very easily in addition to the Domino applications. Then we have Connections, which is the star of the conversation today and tomorrow. And then we also have Same Time, another major release coming out for that product in November. Again, we'll be showing details of that at the Digital Week event. Next slide. So I have sort of two slides I wanted to lean into before we got into the detail of version 7 that I know Adam and Rene are going to give you more detail on. But as I sort of, have been sort of thinking and researching this space, I've been talking to analysts, talking to customers. We've also done a customer survey, and Adam's going to share some of those results. Is that, I think the nature of collaboration has sort of been changing over the last couple of years. Obviously, certainly the landscape has been changing. But it's also very interesting with the event of COVID that's actually sort of further propelled what people's notion is for remote working, not only for employees, but for people collaborating in general. Maybe the way that people work is going to change entirely. But it also, I think the good thing is it presents an opportunity. Essentially, we do have a lowest common denominator approach in some of the competitive solutions. And the opportunity for us is to really bring that together in a sort of cohesive sort of way. But it's sort of interesting, some of the core tenets of what I think Connections enshrines, that idea about, building communities, finding experts, bringing clarity and context to what essentially is a whole soup of, separate communications is important and is going to be increasingly important into the future. Oh, someone's got an echo there. And the way that people are going to be viewing this is, elevating the importance of that type of collaboration. It's not about a single task or a single conversation. And it's not about a single channel of something that's a chat or something's in mail, but really combining those things together to drive a particular outcome. Maybe it's a project, maybe it's employee engagement. It's for very specific tasks. And also, I think what you'll see happening for companies, and we started to see that in some of our customers, is the notion of the place where they collaborate, the value proposition starts increasing when the types of applications that you bring within the collaboration increases. So adding new apps that are built in the low-code platform, bringing unified notifications, adding workflows takes us to an entirely new, different level as well. I'm very mindful of the fact that whatever we're doing from a product roadmap perspective needs to have a great user experience, and where it's possible, we want to make sure that people are adopting this in a viral way. So next slide, please, Adam. So just to sort of, recap some of what I was sort of saying, I think all of us today, and I have 2 mailboxes and I have 2 sets of calendars, and, I have multiple chats, I have team chats, I have same time chats, is, organizations are sort of, have the challenge of dealing with a siloed approach. And, the conversations are locked in these multiple individual silos. And it's very difficult to contextualize them. So if I wanted to pick out individual topics, I wanted to pick out specific, actions related to an outcome, it becomes very difficult. There's very little context to be able to bring that cohesively together in a way that sort of matters. And then when I think about, the value that Connections brings here, it's really as that sort of centralized connections hub, that way to drive focus, the way to drive consistent actions, but more importantly, bring that community together for a single project or multiple projects in one place that's accessible and consistent. Now, the way you access it could be from multiple different places, but the important thing is at any point in time, you have context and you can take action. The other thing that I think is really important, and I've learned personally as I've been going through, my deepening knowledge of connections, is really how connections is actually used to capture that best practices, and particularly what I'm excited about with, version 7 here is how those best practices can be encapsulated and then continue to be reused again, again, and again. For the benefit of the organization. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Adam, who's going to share with you some insight into our connection survey, which we've just run.
Yep,
And I'll
thank you,
be back.
Andrew. So as Andrew said, right, we know from our customer interactions that there are a lot of different ways that people are using connections and getting value from connections. We've got customers using it for corporate communications, where they've got it as almost like an intranet type deployment, where they're sharing and communicating and getting feedback on engagement from their end users. We know we have the real classic use of the core enterprise social network capabilities with things like ideation and knowledge capture and discovery, making it very easy to share openly across the organization so people can find where someone else might have worked on a similar project before, or find the expertise they need in real time when they've got a critical issue to resolve. From the design workshops we did last summer, we know that self-help came up over and over again as a key use case that people are using connections for or want to use connections for, whether that's inside an IT organization or an HR organization, but looking at how you can shift the ability to go find the answers you need, put that into the hands of the end users, and really capture the knowledge that they all have and share that back out, rather than requiring staffing of call centers or people just, endlessly searching for an answer that isn't out there because you don't have a vehicle today to let people share that information or discover where that question's been asked in the past and bring that forward. We know people are using it for things like customer interaction and coordinating with sellers. Back at IBM, this was a big use case for us, for example. We know it's being used for project coordination, whether that's large multi-month projects with hundreds of users, or small projects where you might just have a handful of users or a dozen or two launching a new product, resolving a customer issue, or what have you. That type of interaction is really critical to running a business, and is something that Connections is particularly good at. And then, as you'll hear, one of the primary cases we were also seeing is around content repository and file sharing and document editing, just serving that core function of making information available in a shared way with other people. And then, of course, there are always the situations that come up, whether it's COVID now, whether it's hurricanes or monsoons or other natural disasters, other emergencies that might come up specific to your business, PR crisis or what have you, where the ability of everyone to get online to Connections, to immediately bring up a community and just start coordinating there, bringing everyone together, is really invaluable. And importantly, not just bringing people together at the beginning, but making it very easy for people who join midway through the project to know that everything they need is in one place. And you're not stuck forwarding on email threads or working hard to bring people up to speed over and over again. So these are some of the uses that we've known about and are probably familiar to all of you out there. Last month, we started a survey. I'm sure a number of you have responded, and there's still a chance for those of you who haven't. I'll share the link in a little bit, to go in and respond. And we were really looking to understand a couple of key things. What are the primary use cases that you're using inside your organization? How are you using Connections today? How do you measure benefits? And what additional features or integrations are you interested in? And as always, when we do these kinds of surveys, the results are very interesting. The top 3 use cases we heard coming back from the survey. First was corporate communications and intranet, similar to what I talked about before. Next was content repository, file sharing, and editing. And the third that really broke away from from all the other use cases was knowledge management and discovery. We did get votes for some of the other ones as well, but those 3 over and over again came out as the leading use case. And again, I thought it was interesting. If you're using it today, that's great. If you're using it for other purposes, maybe you'll think about expanding or taking that back to your sponsors inside the organization to look at how else it might be able to be used. When we dove a little bit deeper into how Connections is being used and what capabilities are being used, and we found a lot of similarities across these top use cases. When we looked at corporate communications and the knowledge management use cases, what came out far and away at the top of usage were communities, blogs, files, wikis, and forums. So really that organizing structure of the communities was really central to those use cases, as well as sharing that information, whether it's document form like in files, or more ad hoc web-based communication like in blogs or wikis. And then the ability to go and post Q&A and capture that knowledge for sharing elsewhere through the forums came out as essential. And not at all surprisingly, for the people that said they're using it for a content repository, files came out, and the document editors and desktop plugins were all very well, highly used, as well as communities, again, for that organizing structure. Some things we saw across all use cases, a lot of commonalities for uses of communities, files, and wikis. So across all the use cases we heard responses for, those all came out at the top. It was also interesting to see the results when we asked about measuring the benefits of Connections, because they really did vary from company to company. Some respondents just really believe in the collaborative approach. They don't measure benefits. They don't try to document their ROI. They just know it works. And I imagine a lot of you are in that camp. Others look at things like adoption or usage and using the metrics inside of Connections so they can really highlight how that's being used. Others looked at user satisfaction or more firm numbers on what's going on inside the network. So things like number of updates, number of file uploads, number of blog posts, how many new communities were being created. And of course, not at all surprisingly, the companies that were focused on knowledge management placed a priority on the ease of finding information and on user feedback. So we know this is something that comes up as a perennial topic from when we talk with customers one-on-one or when we come to events like this is, well, how do we show the benefits? How do we measure it? So I thought it was interesting to see that feedback that we've been getting so far and wanted to share that here so you get some sense of that as well. And in terms of what other capabilities we're looking for, we know we've gotten a lot of input from this over the past year and more. We've got probably approaching 2,000 ideas and aha now of improvements you want to see or feature enhancements or new capabilities. We went around the world doing design workshops last summer and heard feedback there. And the responses to the survey so far have been largely consistent with that. It's integration into both HCL digital solution products like the one Andrew went through, Verse, Domino, same time, as well as Microsoft products. And that's why we're placing a focus on delivering that with Connections 7. We also heard about improvements in specific Connections components like wikis, blogs, docs, and search, with both deeper capabilities as well as new capabilities with things like workflow and video conferencing. So we'll be continuing to go through the input that we're seeing here. We hope you'll keep providing it if you haven't already. As I said, I'll share the link in a little bit and then wrap up here, and would encourage you to go and take 5 or 10 minutes to put that in. So before we get to talking about Connections 7, which is going to be our focus here over the next 2 days, I did want to touch base on where we are in the portfolio and really touch on the positive momentum we're seeing. Now, we've come out with 3 releases so far since coming over to HCL a year ago. We've got Connections 7 poised for release before the end of the year. And as you can see here, judging by the calls we're getting in for support, we're seeing a quick adoption of the latest releases. You see, same time 6.5 is almost half of our calls now, which is a really positive trend in terms of adoption. We're working individually with customers, some of whom are moving up from older versions. They had kind of stuck around in the older versions because they felt it met their needs. And now they're saying that there really is enough that we've delivered between the higher CRs of 6.0 and with 6.5 that they feel it's important to roll it out. And actually, on that note, Juanis, if you could put the poll out, we've got a poll for all of you here about what you're using and your plans to upgrade. But again, we're seeing really positive feedback. 47% of our customers are calling in about 6.5. We know that close to 60% are on one of the releases that we've released since Connections moved over to HCL a year ago. So again, a lot of really positive adoption there. And we've also making steps for those of you who might be on an older version to make it easier to upgrade. And you'll hear Renee talk more about that in his session tomorrow as well. And maybe we'll come back and share the poll results in a little bit, Juanis. So moving on to Connection 7, very excited about this release. We've really stepped back to look at the feedback we heard from all of you in Let's Connect, the feedback we've been hearing from AHA and in factory tours and meeting with you one-on-one. We're very excited to be in the final stages of wrapping up the development as we get ready to ship it in just another couple months. And so there are 3 core focus areas that we built out, again, based on the feedback we've been hearing from all of you. And the first guiding principle is to help you not reinvent what works. We hear that communities are really central to your use of Connections and what differentiates it from any other solution that might be out there or that you might have deployed elsewhere in your organization. And so that's why we put a real focus on helping you create communities easier, but more importantly, to really reuse the best practices that have been developed inside your organization. And so that's why we placed a focus on templates and being able to not only provide templates for you as a starting point so you can design, you can roll out well thought out and design communities, but making it very easy for you to take existing communities, turn them into templates so that you can deploy them inside your own organization. So that if you've got a best practice about a project, a deal room, an emergency response situation, a new product launch, whatever it might be, that you can take all of the components that go into that, take your activities with your project plans and to-dos, take your forums, take your wikis that might have the documentation structure you need when you're rolling out a new product or new offering, say, and be able to bring all of that forward. So the next time someone comes along with that project, that type of project, they can just, with one click, create a new community based on that template. The structure is all there, the design is all there. You just need to spend a couple minutes customizing it for your specific needs, and you're off and running. Between the new community creation wizard, the templates, you can be up and running with a community up to 80% faster than you can in current or previous versions of Connections. So I'm really excited about getting those capabilities out there. The whole idea of just making your successes repeatable with those proven and engaging communities built on those best practices. The next focus area is really around making your team smarter. We know that you're getting benefit from Connections today, but we also know that it's probably a minority of organizations where Connections is the only tool that you've deployed inside the organization. And our goal is to bring the power of Connections to that Microsoft 365 environment, really fill in the gaps in what's missing with Microsoft 365. And so this is being able to bring in capabilities like integration with Teams, both bringing your team communications so you can start them up right from inside of Connections, as well as surfacing Connections inside of Teams. So you can bring those best practices forward, stay focused on what you're working on and not have to switch back and forth between applications. Make sure that you have the confidence that you're using the right document because you can surface your Connections files right inside of your Teams communications. For example, find the experts you need where you're working. We'll also make it easier for you to get at files if you are standardized or if you do have organizations that are using SharePoint for file management, for example, by bringing files into your community. So again, you can get it all in one place and make it very easy to just focus on getting your work done inside that community. We're also rolling out a brand new Outlook add-in, redesigned from the bottom up to meet current design standards and functionality, but also make it very easy with just one click to share your emails, share your attachments into connections, whether it's to files, a status update, wikis, activities, and also make it very easy to go the other way, sharing content that you have inside of connections back out into Outlook. It will also integrate things like profiles, so you can, at a glance, see who is invited to the meeting that you have or is in that email stream, or again, make it very easy to take your distribution list that you've already got in your communities or in your expertise network inside of connections and add them into a distribution list or an invite list for a meeting. And then the last piece we're focusing on is reducing your upgrade headaches, making it very easy to roll out connections, roll out the new capabilities, especially the new ones that are coming out in Component Pack. We know we're seeing an increase in adoption of those Docker capabilities. We still know that it's new for a lot of you. And so taking steps to make it easier to roll that out, to get them deployed, whether it's natively or inside of OpenShift environment or an Amazon environment, for example, as well as providing more guidance and updated guidance about the kind of resources that you need, so that you can make sure that you've got an environment that's sized correctly for the rollout that you have. So again, we'll be sharing a lot more on that. Renee has a session coming up where he'll be going into more detail on that very shortly. And then we've got Andre and Luis talking tomorrow about some of the deployment aspects as well. And Renee will be talking about that in a bit too. So definitely stay tuned for that. And then did want to highlight especially the preview here. For those of you who haven't tried it out yet, I think we're approaching about 200 participants there. So I'm guessing a lot of you have had a chance to try it out. Please go, we'll be accepting feedback. Well, we'll be accepting feedback and keeping the preview set up through availability. Obviously, as we get close to hitting that feature freeze point, there'll be a limit on what kind of feedback we might be able to accept and make changes for in 7.0. But please do go try out the new capabilities, the Teams integration, SharePoint integration, the new tailored experience capabilities around community creation and templates. There's a lot more even that you'll hear Renee going into in terms of things like export to PDF that we're introducing in here, and some of the other new capabilities around laying out your community homepage, for example. They're all coming there. So you can see the link there. We'll paste that into the chat as well. And we'd love to have your feedback. And so before I hand this back over to Andrew Wanis, do you want to share the survey results?
Yes, definitely.
Great. So let's see. So we've got, wow, 60% of you are on 6.5 already. That is excellent. Not at all surprising given the crowd here. And 45% of you plan to upgrade in the next 12 months. And another 16% are currently upgrading. So again, a lot of you there as well. Looking at the Docker-based components, also reassuring. I see about a third of you have already deployed and another third plan to deploy in the next 12 months. And then we've got about a quarter of you, about another third who don't have plans to deploy or don't plan to ever deploy. Hopefully after seeing more of the sessions today and tomorrow, maybe we'll change your mind. And certainly if you've got questions on any of this, I'd encourage you to reach out to us. And always glad to meet with you and go through what's involved in it, what you get from it. And if nothing else, would want a chance to understand your concerns, given that this really is a core piece of our portfolio going forward. So thank you for your feedback there. And with that, I will turn it back over to Andrew.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you everyone for your feedback. I was busy taking a quick snapshot of that, so we didn't lose it. I've been bitten by that one in the past. So finally, my last slide here is sort of pulling some of this all together. I think from a digital solution standpoint, the technology, the capabilities have a bright future. I think as we've seen from the survey and from COVID, the capabilities that Connections brings are very important for the way that people do business and are becoming even more important for organizations. Remember to register for the same time, the Connections preview. I know, I don't know what the latest count is. Maybe Rene, you can give us an update, but I know you had over 180 people in the preview, which is outstanding. Hopefully, as Adam said, by the time we get through the next couple of days, all of you will make plans to upgrade. And I know Luis Guerga, who's also on here, and I like the t-shirt, by the way, Luis. I've seen someone else with a t-shirt like that this morning. Is actually rolling out more of the Digital Solutions Academy, and I know there'll be more education material available to everyone to get tips, tricks, and best practices, not only of Connections, but the whole digital solutions portfolio. And lastly, we're here. Give us your feedback. I'm excited and honored. I know I've sort of taken over the role from Danielle. I think with Andre and Adam and Rene, we'll continue the momentum of the product. And I really look forward to continuing to engage with you at other Let's Connect events, right, Juanis and Maria, next year.
Coming up.
And hopefully we'll be doing that in person with a glass of wine or a beverage in our hands too. So thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Adam.